In recent years, Hyundai has been absolutely stepping up their game when it comes to the infotainment system and the instrument cluster, providing a level of customization a little bit unique in the auto industry. Welcome to Ed's Garage at Bannister Hyundai. Today, I want to talk about how you can customize your infotainment system and instrument cluster to your personalized settings and personalized look so that you can quickly access exactly what it is you're looking for in your new Hyundai product. Now, this video deals primarily with the new CCNC system that's only been out for a couple of years now for Hyundai. So if you have a vehicle that's like 2022 or older, chances are you may have the older system and this video might not apply. But in any case, if this video helps you out, please don't forget to like and subscribe and comment below if you have any questions. All right, let's get started. So normally when I do a video about the infotainment screen or I add it to a video review of a vehicle, I kind of go through the whole screen and show you every single individual option. That video does exist, and if you want to see that, I'll put that in the link in the description below. However, today what I want to do is just show you how to customize this, how to make it your own, make it look the way that you want, so that when you're driving, you know exactly where to find things, and it's personalized to you. Now, even in this lower trim level of a Kona, the screen itself, the 12-inch infotainment screen, gives you a lot of customization, a lot of features. Just keep in mind that some Hyundai vehicles are going to have built-in navigation, that sort of thing, but the overall functionality of the screen is the same. So let's get started. So we're going to start with the actual user profile. So here we can see we're currently in driver 1. If I tap that and go to name, of course I can name the profile whatever I want it to be. So if it's, mom and dad, or if it's Sandy and George, or George and Gracie, or whatever, you can actually name each profile. And the cool thing is that it's going to remember all of your personal settings within your profile. So just keep that in mind. We have option to change the user profile picture in here as well. So these are the different images that you can choose, and you'll see those when you first start the car up. All right, so let's go to some customization here. So first off, we have our home screen and then a little extension of the home screen. You'll notice at the bottom here, there's two little lines. So those are the two home screens. Now, some vehicles, you'll see a map here. And of course, that'll be the built-in navigation system. This particular vehicle doesn't have that, but that's okay. There's still a lot of customization, even in this particular trim level. So first thing you want to do is put these little information cards where you want them. Let's call them icons. Let's put these icons where you want them. And what I mean by that is you might never use valet mode. I don't know anybody that actually uses it. So all you got to do is just hold it down until it kind of releases like this, and then you can slide it around. See that? You can put it wherever you want it. So I'm going to go all the way to the edge of the screen until it jumps over, and I'm going to stick it right there because we don't need it. We don't want it. Okay. Now on the left here we have media. That's going to take us into, the radio, FM, AM, Sirius XM, etc. So if you want, you can move that around. Vehicles, diagnostics and maintenance, you probably won't use those very often either. So let me just scroll over and see what else we have. We have a notification screen, an online manual, and a setup. The online manual and the setup are probably more likely to be accessed. So let's just move those over. We're going to put that right there, and we're going to move vehicle diagnostics onto this screen as well. And then setup, we need to flip that over onto that screen as well. Let's see if that fits. Yes, it does. All right, there we go. So now we have the 5 things that we're going to use most often on this screen. Pretty cool. Now, if this gets a little bit bigger, and what I mean by that is if it expands into a larger image, which it may, like if you're using or if you have the built-in navigation system, for instance, this will take up a bit more space, then essentially you'll have 3 other icons. You'll have sort of the main one and then 3 other icons. But in this particular vehicle, it's 4 icons and then your media system. Now, of course, we can put the media system wherever we want. Maybe we put that in the middle. So now we have 2 and that one there. So yeah, so that's just one way you can quickly customize what's on this screen. Now, the other things in here, there's a little menu button in the top left-hand corner. If I tap that, you can reorder menu. We can reorder menu order. So if I tap that, it says reset to factory default order. Hit yes, and boom. So now it just puts all the icons back where we had them. Okay. Now, if I go back in here, we got profile settings, which we were just looking at. The online manual, that's a quick way of getting the online manual, which is also right here. But that's essentially what that is. There's no customization of that stuff necessarily. The next thing we can customize is this drop-down menu. So here is the quick control. This is a place where you can go through and kind of enable and disable different things or change volumes or whatnot. But you'll notice there's really only 4 things that you can change in here. So we have our brightness, we can shut the display off, we can enable or disable split screen, and we can also put the vehicle into quiet mode. But there are more things in here. Let's customize this. So if I go to a little gear icon, you can see those are the things that are checked off, right? The split screen, quiet mode, display off, and brightness. But let's say I wanted to also add, change device, and I wanted to add controls over the beeps and the sound and the position of the sound, and I hit done. Now everything's in there. Of course, if you have a higher model vehicle, you'll be able to add different things in there. So that's how you can kind of quickly customize the quick control screen. All right, so for the rest of the customization, you kind of have to go to the settings. I mean, obviously there is your screen brightness. So there's a brightness button right here. That's your dimmer switch. So if you want to increase and decrease the brightness of the screen, you can do that from that little button there. Not sure that's coming up on camera, but yeah. So yeah, pretty much everything else is in setup. Ultimately, you can also go to the time here. I mean, I guess it's not really customization, but there's where you can enable and disable daylight savings time, put it in the right time zone, etc. So let's see what's in the setup screen here for the instrument cluster, as well as the display and the screen layout. So the rest is kind of secondary. It's not really related to customization of the screen. So first off, we'll start with screen layout. So screen layout, you can see here it says link to drive mode. The screen that they're actually talking about here is that one, okay? So if you want to quickly customize the instrument cluster, this is where you can do that. Now in this car, all you can do is change the style. You can't change this into an analog screen, for instance, but you can see we got 3 different styles here, which is kind of cool. So in higher trim levels, you'll be able to change this to analog, and basically this whole thing is a screen, so it has a little bit more customization capability. But you can also link that to the drive mode, so that would be when you use the drive mode button on your center console. Now it's going to change the color as well. So that's essentially what that is. But there is these other 2 things here, screensaver and split screen, okay? So first off, screensaver. You can customize which clock comes up on the screen when you shut it off. So if I hold this power button here, boom, shuts off, there we go. And we have a clock, press that again, turns back on. You can choose which one of those you want. And then in split screen, you can enable or disable the compass. The clock's pretty much always going to be there. So there's, not a whole lot of customization on this particular vehicle, but in higher trim levels, you'll see more options here as well. So let's go to the radio as an example, and there is our little split screen now. And you can see if I swipe up, we have a clock and we have a compass, and in other trim level vehicles, higher trim levels, you'll see things like the map, weather, a bunch of other cool stuff in there. But even this little split screen is somewhat customizable. So right now we have this clock, but maybe we prefer that clock or that one or that one or that one. And then if I go to the compass, you can actually change the type of compass. Look at that. So 2 different compass styles. So a little bit more customization. All right, let's go back to the setup here, and screen layout, that was pretty much it. That's everything in there. Let's go to display. Now, the next thing we'll customize is the blue light filter. So by default, the blue light filter is disabled. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on. And what this is basically at night, it's going to be able to filter out blue light from the screen. And you can actually choose how warm you want the image, so how little blue light or how much blue light is in it when it does that. And you can either set it to do that automatically when it gets dark out, or you can set the time that it does that. So that's pretty much it in there. And then we go to cluster here. So cluster is going to be, well, partly what we've already looked at, the cluster theme selection, but also the content selection. So if I go to content selection, I can just choose whether or not it shows the wiper and lights display information. So if I change the wiper here, it shows, what setting it's on. That's pretty much all I can do in there. Again, a little bit more customization capability in higher trim levels. But yeah, that's mainly this screen here. So not really so much this screen. All right, so that's basically it for the main screen customization. So at least you kind of have an idea of how you can set it up to your personal profile, to your personal preferences. And within those user profiles, it's going to remember how you have it set. So if two people drive the vehicle, two people can customize the screen however they want, and then, when you go into those different profiles, it's going to bring that stuff back. But the next thing I want to show you is just within some of the applications, how you can customize things. Now, one of the most common questions I get is, how do you put the screen in daytime mode or light mode or whatever? That doesn't exist on the CCNC system. It's pretty much always going to be that dark theme. And that's just to reduce glare and eye strain. Honestly, at night, the last thing you want is a day mode option. It's just easier like this. So they didn't bother putting like a daytime mode or a light mode in there. And to be quite frank, I've seen on the older systems, we had a day mode and it just didn't look right. And the reason for that is because the surround on the screen is all black. So when you have that day mode, it just really stands out that there are two screens. This just kind of looks like one seamless screen, which is kind of nice. Anyway, so let's have a look at some of the built-in applications here and how you can customize these built-in applications. So first off, the radio screen. So the radio screen kind of depends on what you listen to. Now, you can put different favorites from FM, AM, and Sirius XM all in one favorites selection section here. So if I choose some of these FM favorites and then switch to AM, I can then choose some of the AM favorites, and then Sirius XM, I can do the same. I can choose some of the Sirius XM stations as favorites, and then if I go to favorites here, now it shows only the ones that I've favorited, and they're all in one list. So I guess the way to customize this screen is just to put in the favorites that you have. Now, ultimately, if you're listening to music on a cell phone or whatever, it's not going to make any difference to you, but this is just specifically for the radio. Now, you'll notice here we have the little mini section. I can just swipe that off the screen. So again, however you want to look at it. Now, these two options here, if I tap this one, it's going to bring up sort of built-in music. So there's your sounds of nature, USB music, and Bluetooth audio. And this is going to be streaming over the air. So FM, AM, and Sirius XM. So that's the two different options there. But maybe you want to customize how the sound works. So if we go into the menu here and go to sound settings, here you can now change things like the position of the sound, the tone of the sound, and also enable and disable the startup volume limit and change how much the vehicle increases the volume as you speed up. And then of course you got guidance noise, or guidance volumes, radio noise levels. So radio noise is, how much you want the car to try to actively reduce noise from like FM stations and whatnot. So that's how that works. And then you notice the quick menu is always there. When you're in a Hyundai application, you can always swipe down to bring up the quick menu, and you can pretty much always swipe in to bring up the little secondary screen there. That's pretty much it for the FM customizations. There's not really any customizations there necessarily. It's just, adding personal favorites and whatnot. Now, of course, it isn't just the screen layout and whatnot that you can customize. It's also some of the buttons. And those buttons include this little star right here, the star on the steering wheel, the mode button on the steering wheel, and one other one. But I'm going to go over those ones first. So the first time we press these stars, or even the mode button, it's going to ask what we want to do with this particular button. So this particular button, we can make this go to the radio screen, the Bluetooth audio, driver assistance settings, phone. We can make it reject the call. We can make it go to the phone projection, would be Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. We can make it switch your phone call to privacy mode, so you actually have to grab your handset. We can make it switch the hands-free calling device. So if you have two devices connected to Bluetooth, you can cycle between those two. We can make it go to the home screen, but there's, of course, a home button right there. We can make it shut the display off, put the vehicle into quiet mode so it limits the front speaker volume and turns off the rear speakers. And we can make it turn on and off the radio, so any of the media playback. So that's what you can do with that one. If I press this one here, the first time, it will then, of course, ask us what we want that one to do, and most of these are going to be similar. So radio, Bluetooth, audio, driver assistance settings, phone, reject call, phone projection, privacy mode, change hands-free calling device, home button, display on and off, quiet mode, media on and off. So it's almost exactly the same list. Actually, I think it might be exactly the same list now that I think about it. So yeah, those are two customizable buttons. Now the mode button here, that of course is related to your media sources. So you can customize what media sources it cycles through. So if I check all of these off, then all of those potential sources, assuming they're all available, will be sources that I can cycle through by pressing this button repeatedly. So as you can see, Right now we have nature sounds, we have FM, AM, Sirius XM, and that's it. It goes back to nature sounds because I don't have a phone connected or a USB stick plugged in. But of course, if I don't ever listen to AM, then it'll just skip right over that when pressing the mode button. The last thing we're doing, or we can do here, is we can actually change what the up and down button does underneath the mode button here. So we can either make it change your favorite station or radio channel, or we can make it go up and down within frequencies on the radio station. So if you're in FM, it'll go to the next available frequency or previous available frequency or next station on Sirius XM. Now, when you're listening to music from your phone or from a USB stick or whatever, it is going to the next song or previous song. So you're just kind of customizing which way or which thing you want that up and down arrow to control when you're listening to over-the-air radio. Now, in a higher trim vehicle, of course, look at how much more is going on here. You have this beautiful other 12-inch screen, of course, for the instrument cluster. Let's move the steering wheel out of the way here. So there is, of course, some customization here now that we couldn't do in the lower trim vehicle. And you can see we have the map here, which, again, like the media screen, you can move that around. So that's kind of nice. And now there is going to be 3 screens within here. So if I swipe over again, there's just a lot more applications. So let's cover some of the customization within those applications. First, let's have a quick look at the quick control here. And yeah, there's definitely some more options in here now as well. So we have navigation, guidance, volume, navigation alerts. There's our voice memo. So we can add these things to the quick control as well. So that's, like I said, there's going to be some differences between the two for sure. But yeah, let's go into the nav system. Now here's a place where you can actually have the day and night modes. So I'm going to show you some customization on the nav, and then I'll show you how to change the day and night modes. You can see here we also have more in the quick menu. So as I mentioned, you have weather, there's the compass and clock again. This particular one happens to be a plug-in hybrid, so you can see our EV range, idle mode information. This is just power information, where power is coming from, going to, and then back to the mini map. And of course, we can shove that off the screen, same as the other vehicle. But in the map, the customization is as follows. We can look at the map in different ways. So we have our top-down vehicle facing up. We have our 3-dimensional perspective mode, and then we also have top-down north facing up. So that's the customization there. We can have the zooming in and out of the map automatic, or we can actually just change it right here. So we got 50 meter, 200 meter, 1.6 kilometers, how far above the map we are. So that's how that works. And then you can also zoom in and out using a little scale here. Like if we go all the way to space, woo, that's pretty cool. 3,000 kilometers away. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Okay, so yeah, how the map comes up, how close it's zoomed in, that sort of thing, all automatic or manual. I can change the volume levels for both the guidance, the spoken guidance, and as well as the alerts. Okay, so that's where that is. Navigation volume priority just means that when the navigation system is speaking, music volume will drop a little bit. All right, next thing we can do, if we go to the little menu here, I can go to display traffic info. So I can add the ability for the vehicle to kind of put traffic information on the maps as we're driving. If I go into traffic, it's going to basically look for traffic in the area and display that here, assuming HD radio is enabled and the signal is being sent out by the FM stations in your area. All right, also within that menu, if I scroll up a bit, we can see I can go to navigation settings. And from here, I can enable and disable vehicle speed on the map. There's a traffic info there as well. Traffic colors shows little lines on the roads that are, red, green, or yellow, depending on the traffic levels. I can show points of interest icons on the map, so I can turn them all on or all off. I can have gas stations, EV charging stations, parking stations, restaurants, all this stuff. It can enable and disable whatever you want to have show up on the map. Pretty cool. Let's see what else we can do. We can change the type of guidance distance, so interval distance, cumulative distance. We can change how it avoids different things, avoid freeways, ferries, toll roads, HOV, carpool lanes, that sort of thing. We can have a overview of the route anytime you come to a stop, so it kind of zooms out and shows you the whole route until you start moving again. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do in here to change basically how the navigation system works. So this one right here, alerts, sets the safety alert camera options. Camera alert distance. It does need blue link to enable that. I'm not even sure what that is, to be honest. I know that I have a commenter who actually works on these systems. If you can tell me what camera alert distance is, I'd love to know. Okay, if we go to map, we can see there is a map mode, so you can change what the map looks like. So check this out. So we have our map view north up 2D, so that was the thing that we were changing by pressing the little compass. So we want to put that in 3D. It's just the nicest way of doing it. We can change the map font, so if I put that on large, basically all of the POIs and street names and whatever, it'll have a slightly larger font. We can even change the color of the map. Check this out. So we've got clean light, which looks like, I don't know if you can see that. There we go. We've got clean dark, classic light, and classic dark. Now, it will automatically change, I believe anyway, that it'll change the map dark and light depending on the time of day, but I could be wrong about that. We have the map auto scale, which we were looking at earlier as well, and then nav auto features. Let's see here. We have auto recentering of the map. So if you move the map around and then ignore it for a minute, it'll kind of recenter by itself. That should actually just be on as far as I'm concerned. Here's also where you can see like the GPS information and whatnot too. All right. So that's pretty much it. So now you can see we're in the sort of night mode for the nav system. All right. So the rest of this stuff, with the exception of the HD radio data, isn't so much customizable as just accessible things that you can do within them. So we're going to go over to HD radio data. From here, the traffic and Doppler radar, that's just kind of information, but the fuel prices is somewhat customizable. Now, currently it's not finding any gas stations. So what's customizable in here is that you can actually adjust what it finds. So in this case, we can customize, I wish I could show you here, but basically you can save favorites. You can choose the type of fuel that you want it to find, the brand, so Chevron, Shell, whatever, or you can just see everything. So a little bit of customization within here. I wish I could show you that, but right now, for whatever reason, HD radio is not picking up the, and it is turned on. It's not picking up the gas stations, which happens sometimes, but again, not sure why. So a little tiny bit of customization in there. All right, so quickly showing you how to customize this particular screen now. So if I go into cluster here, you can see I've got cluster theme selection. So now I actually have access to the classic, modern, and simple. But basically it just adds, that analog speedometer in there, and it's a little bit more of an expansion to what I showed you earlier. In any case, that's where I'm going to end the video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Obviously, customization is important to make sure that the vehicle feels really your own. But if you have two drivers, then two people can feel like the vehicle is their own. In any case, thanks for watching. Till next time, have a great day.